Welcome back to episode 3 of Crypto Miner Tips. And today I'm going to be talking to you about a GPU mining benchmark tool called PG Miner. And basically, it's a software designed to help people mining cryptocurrency find optimal overclock settings for their GPUs. And basically, it holds up to its name. And so I stumbled across this software a while back when I was out searching for some other stuff. And interesting enough, I ended up downloading it, and this is actually the original website from the developer. And he's got a documentation there and everything, kind of explains it. But to get the thing set up, it was kind of hard, and I had to ask him a lot of questions, and kind of actively be in their Discord and stuff like that. And so over the last couple months of testing the software out on my own rigs, and obviously breaking things in the code for the guy on accident, and kind of being, a beta tester for him, because I was testing it out on so many different cards and I was breaking things left and right for him. And here I thought I was pestering the guy, and he's like, thank you. And, come to realize I was actually just testing the software out for him. And he was really grateful that I was, fixing some of the bugs, or at least bringing some of the bugs to his awareness. But the documentation he has, it's okay, but it doesn't really break it down on how to set it up. And so, if you look down in the description of this video, there's going to be a link in the description to our blog over here at Crypto Miner Tips. And so we actually wrote our own guide for them to help them out. We didn't get paid to do it. We're not affiliated with them. We don't get any, kind of endorsement or anything out of this. It's just the guy works really, really hard. And, after just talking to him for a while, I just kind of wanted to help the guy out, because this is it's a great tool. And so, like I said, after the video, if you want, you can check out, the full blog article and stuff like that. But just to kind of give you guys, some more, like a video on how to set it up and everything. This is basically, I'm going to show you how to do that. So I'm going to do a couple things here. One, obviously, if you already have the file downloaded and, put it into a folder on your desktop somewhere, go ahead and extract it into that folder. And then just to install it, you're just going to click that. Click on the installation file, hit agree, run setup. Now, just so you know, this is actually written in a Visual Basic language. The developer was in the middle of migrating this all over to a C-based language. But he's, had some other things that, come up in his schedule and stuff like that. He's got a full-time job and stuff like that for work. So he kind of put that on the back burner. So now it's, as you can see here, it's fully installed, but for the first time it closes out. So you kind of have to reopen it to start it up for the first time. And there's going to be some things that we need to configure in order to set this up. And then right off the bat here, as you can see here, we got several different tabs up here, and then under each tab, sometimes there's subcategory tabs right here. App settings, a couple things going on in here. You can name your rig if you want. Round 1 and 2 run times. This manages the round run time. So if you want, the first round of benchmarks to run for 20 minutes each, you set that up that way. Then, typically the round 2 run times, what that does is, from the first set of overclock settings from the first test, it takes the best one of those and it retests them in round 2. Those tests should be longer than the first test because you're looking for stability over a long period of time. This setting right here is use the same parameters for all devices. So once we go over to the parameters tab, if we wanted to just apply all the same settings across all the GPUs, we would enable that so that it would obviously disable these GPUs from being, and then from here you can apply the same settings across all the GPUs from this one GPU. For this purpose right here, for this guide, I'm gonna leave that set like that. Power target increase steps. Okay, so you notice here also too, we got the base clock offset increase steps, the mem clock offset increase steps, and the intensity increase steps. So this will be the increment in which you want to increase it after each round. So say I wanted to test out, well, first we don't have any miners loaded up. So first, let's get that set up. All right, we'll get back to that in a second. So in order to start running tests, we're going to need to enable some pools as well. So under the pools tab, get you a Bitcoin address. These are auto exchange pools. So the coins that you're mining on the algorithm will be auto exchanged and paid back to you in the form of Bitcoin. So you put your wallet address there, you type in BTC as the coin symbol, and then you just click pool enable, you hit save and close, and then you go to the next pool and just repeat the same process. And then if you want, you can enable them all if you want, but unless you really need to, I just do the top 4. That usually covers pretty much all the algorithms anyways. I think Zerg pools on it. The only reason they got Zerg pool in there is because you can benchmark the G miner. I know that G miner, I don't know if it was used for Beam or Grin, I don't know, but there is a version of G miner that is in here that you can. No, I take that back. I take that back. I am so sorry. It's not in there. It's actually in HashAuger where you can actually use Gminer to profit switch mine. So I do apologize about that. Take that back. All right, so now we got our pools enabled. The next thing you want to do is enable your miners. So as you can see here already, when I select T-Rex or CryptoDredge or ZEnemy, they got different versions in there. Some of the other ones don't. They just have one version. But to enable it, you just checkbox that. Now, if you notice here, when you click on these different versions, it'll tell you the minimum driver version. So you better make sure that your drivers are at least, that match that driver version number. CUDA 10, these are the ones I like to use. The CUDA 9.2s, I like to test those. So when you select on that version, you're going to hit version enable, and then you just hit add to download queue, and you hit save. Sorry about that. Thunderstorming out there. And then if you want, you can actually download multiple versions of that miner so you can compare different versions. My dog's going crazy. All right, so then, no, I don't want that one. I want this one. All right, so again, so just select whatever version you want. Just make sure you have the drivers for it. And then once you got all your miners selected, you just go over to the download screen, you hit start download, and it'll download them. Now, if you have an antivirus enabled or you're using this on a desktop or PC that you use every day, then there's a good chance that ZEnemy or one of those is going to trigger your antivirus. PG Miner actually sometimes will have a pop-up screen asking you if you want PG Miner to add those to the exclusions. If you hit yes, then it'll add those to the exclusions list, and then it'll allow to properly download those. What else? We got the miners downloaded. All right, so under the algos tab, I'll let you know right now, you can enable and disable the algorithms, but this just kind of gives you a good idea of how many algorithms are available right now. And then finally, parameters. So now we got everything else set up. We got our pools enabled, we got our miners enabled, we've set everything up in app settings. We got it on thorough. So now we're going to select an algorithm. So now you just select an algorithm, select your pool because that's enabled, and you should have many different versions of miners available, especially for X16R. I'm going to select T-Rex. And then in my guide, you'll notice that I talk about breaking these tests up into 3 different tests where I like to test out the power target first. So what I like to do is just test, okay, so what I want to do is test between, let's say, 72 and 84 power target. Now, remember, because I have this power target increase steps in steps of 2, after each 20-minute round, starting at 72, it's going to increase by by 2 until it gets to 84, and then the test will be done. So to calculate that, that's saying it's going to take 12 hours and 20 minutes to do that, because our first round is 20 minutes, our second round is 2 hours, and then we got a round 2 runs of 5. Now, if we back this down to 1, and honestly, you should have your round retries set at 2 as well. And what this does is it allows for, if there's a crash in there or something like that, this will allow it to retry those overclock settings again, because sometimes, your rig could crash, and it wouldn't be related to an overclock setting. It's maybe just a random error or something like that that caused it to crash. So what this will do is it'll give it a second chance, retry it one more time, and if it crashes in that period, then it marks those as failed. So you're going to want to at least have both of these set at 2. You're going to want to set that to 1, and then skip seconds also. I like to leave those set at 44. Part of the reason for this is because I know that these miners can take a few seconds to fire up, and so I don't want to calculate in my tests that first 45 seconds where the miner's really just trying to, get connected to the pool and everything else like that. So that's what that's for. Use TP-Link. You can connect the smart plug if you get the TP-Link smart plugs. If you can connect it through the IP address. So you just basically just go locate your smart plug on the network, and then from there, you can put the IP address from it in there, enable it like this, hit save, and then whatever reported wattage that's coming from that smart plug will be reported in here as well. Thorough and random, always, in my mind, you can read about random in the blog article, but I always like to use thorough. It's just a better route to go, and like I said, it's gonna incrementally, systematically go through every single one of those. It does take longer than random, but it's definitely more thorough for sure. So then, anytime you change settings over here, you're gonna want to make sure that you hit save. Let's see here, what else? I like to leave this set at 1 too. The intense increase steps, set it at 1, unless you know for sure that miner will allow you to increase in decimal increments. Just leave it set at 1. All right, so now we can go back over to the parameters tab. And again, like I said, we got our algo, we got our pool, we got our miner picked. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna test between 72 and 84. And maybe I wanna have a static base clock setting of 50 when I test it, okay? So to apply that, I just type the same number into both boxes. Now, I don't wanna run this test that long for the sake of this video. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to back this down some. Now, don't use those run times, because this is bad practice, but for this video, I'm going to do it. So now when I hit save, you notice that it's only going to take me 17 minutes to complete the test. I hit yes. So now I can go over here and I can start my test. Now to start it on each GPU, you just hit start, hit start. Now, what I like to do, especially if you're using a Celeron or a Pentium CPU, is I like to take things a little bit slow, because this software doesn't pull on the CPU too bad, but it will kind of stall and stick. As you can see right here, this one isn't even starting. And so if you get a Celeron or a Pentium processor like most GPU miners do, because we spend all the money on GPUs, what I like to do is just go in there, go to details, and I like to find this exe file, and I like to set the priority to high. And what that does is it allots more CPU power straight to this software. And it seems to kind of make things run a bit smoother on it. I will tell you this, don't open up any other programs when you're running these benchmarks and these mining rigs, especially if you have a Celeron processor, because it just, these Celeron processors, they're only good for so much. And so we can only push them so far before they just, they just kind of lag and they just quit work and then restart the miner. So now you can see here, it's working now. So because we set it to a higher priority, we're starting to, we can see benchmarks coming through. Now these ones are waiting. Because we set the skip seconds to 44 seconds or 42 seconds, whatever we set it in there. it's going to weight that. If you want to check on each miner, you can check on it through the output tab, and you can just select each miner and look at each GPU and see what it's doing in the miner window. Also too, if you want to see what the overall monitoring is, basically what this does, and you won't use it much, it uses NVIDIA Inspector as the way it monitors all this data for these NVIDIA cards. And so then basically what this is showing you the communication between the main app and the monitor. Not really needed for anything. And then let's go back here. So now this is starting to, run. As you can see here, I got it set up on 2-minute run times for the first round, and then a 3-minute run time for round 2. Now, probably I'm not going to sit here for the full 17 minutes. And then as you can see here, the results will start to get posted in here as well, okay? And for each GPU that completes a benchmark, so like this one's getting ready to be done in another 10 seconds here. So, and then also too, you can see, so now this one's already completed 1 round. It's about to test another one right here. So it's reporting, but it bumped the power target up 2%, just like we told it to. It's going to keep the base clock at that static setting of 50, just so we don't let the GPUs crash. Like I said, for whatever reason, when I leave this set at 0, it crashes. So I like to test it at 50. It's good here. Now, once this is all done running and you have all your results here, you can actually, once you have the best results, you can do 2 things. One, you can go ahead and just download the T-Rex miner straight from GitHub, and then you can just apply these settings to Afterburner and then take your, whatever your intensity settings are, you're going to have to edit that in the bat file. Or, if you wanted to, continue pushing that payment out, because say you're like, well, I did all this, I did 6 hours worth of mining. I want to get my, $7 worth of Bitcoin that I've accumulated. You can continue either mining through this, which you can do that, but you can also connect it to HashAuger. And I'm probably doing a huge no-no here by firing this up. But anyways, HashAuger, it's very, very similar to NiceHash, except for the fact that it's not connected to a marketplace. But you can actually go into its GPU manager and adjust benchmarks for each algorithm on each card, and then you can apply it. So then you can adjust the GPU clock and everything like that. But the reason why I said all that to say this is if you wanted to, under the settings tab, say you wanted to integrate HashAuger, so then you would download HashAuger, which is a separate software, and you can profit switch and everything and read all about it. Basically, to transfer these settings over, what you would do is you would get the port number, and then you would create a password, okay? Whatever that password is, and then you gotta check this box here, check this box here, so it's enabled over here, hit save in HashAuger. And then what you can do is, once you get the results, if you want to transfer any of these results over to that miner, you can bake them in and just push on it. And it says update in HashAuger, update was successful. So that was T-Rex miner 0, okay. And it was a 74 power target. So if we wanted to, actually I already have that opened. No, I don't want to do this. So then what I do here is I can go back and check and see that was from GPU 0. So then if I want to, I can go back in here and check GPU 0 under X16R. This may be getting, all right, so see here, so it baked it in T-Rex miner. It gave me a 21 intensity, which I already had that set in there for some odd reason because I've been using this already. But then it set this at, it set the base clock at 50, and then it set the power target at 74. And then if I wanted to apply that to all the rest of the GPUs in HashAuger, I could and hit yes. So that's another way, once you're done with these results, if you want to accumulate that Bitcoin or use HashAuger and stuff like that, it's got literally less than 1% a day dev fee for mining. So it's pretty cheap to use. And it's pretty cool, actually. It connects to those pools and auto exchanges. Let's get back here to our test. So now after a while running tests, you can see they're starting to accumulate there. And then, you know, say I get to the end of this test and I found out, we'll just kind of speed things up. I found out that, you know, maybe this one was the best setting. I liked it. It seemed to get a good amount of shares in the time period. You know, I can't track the wattage on these cards, like I said, with the 1050 Ti's, but I wanted to use this setting. So now in the guide, you'll see me talk about test 2, okay? So now test 2, we've got our results. We want to do, I want to use 74%. So in test 2, let's go ahead and shut this down, say it completed. So then just if you want to stop it, hit stop. So now we determined that this was 70, you know, the best setting was 74 from our results. But now we wanted to test out the base clocks and the mem clocks to see if we can get any better performance out of it. So we want to scan for those. So I know that these can go up to pretty much somewhere right around there. Maybe we want to do -50 to 50. So now we got this. So now we're applying a static setting of 74 for our power target because we found that out. So then we can hit that and then go with that as well. And how long would that one take? 1 hour and 57 minutes. Okay, yeah, because there's a lot of stuff that it has to run through. So now we hit start again. It runs test. So we're just waiting again. And it's pretty cool because once you get these tests back, like I said, there's a lot of data that you can analyze about what's going on with your mining rigs and, you know, kind of, you know, etch out a little bit of extra performance out of them. And again, like I said, this software, it's not, you know, it's just an MVP, minimum viable product. The developer actually was, you know, he's kind of getting down on himself. You know, he's got some other issues and stuff like that going on. And so I kind of wanted to help the guy out because it's a great piece of software and I don't want him to give up on the project. I do want to see him, you know, practice sealing some of these AMD cards. It would be kind of cool to see, you know, AMD cards get, you know, support on here too as well. And then, you know, start adding in some of the Ethereum and Ethash pools and stuff like that and start benchmarking those and stuff. But, you know, for now we got, you know, we got X16R, we got, I mean, a good portion of a lot of the newer ASIC resistant algorithms too, like the X22Is, the X17, just a good, you know, a list of, you know, different stuff that you can try out. See what you think. So now this is going to run this test. So then this would be test 2. And you hear me talk about this in the blog article as test number 2. So then I like to break that up. And so then after all these complete and everything and it runs a test and say, you know, just to kind of speed things up. So say then, you know, we ran this test and the results, you know, they spit back and said that, let's like wait for one to populate. All right, so you can see here, hash rate was 4.689. Approved shares was 8. Rejected was 0. 74% power target with a 30% or a 30 offset on the base clock and a negative offset on the memory. So say that was the best setting. So say we got, for instance, say we ran all the tests and we found out that was the best setting, 30 base and -50 on the memory. So then we stop the test again. And then go back in here and say, okay, well, that was the best one, 30. So we set that statically. And then -50, or actually, yeah, wait a second here, -50. Save that. And then here's the tricky part. For the intensity, it's a little bit different. If you expand it, you can see the buttons down here, but he didn't leave enough space in there for that. So you have to check this box first. Now, depending on what miner you got, T-Rex, I know that I want to say it's somewhere between 16 and 22, but just to be safe, I'm going to say that the variance is between 16 and 21, or 18 and 21. And so then it'll take 11 minutes. And so then I can test the different intensities even. So then save that, go to details, start. All right. And so then I set up that test. So then that's how I like to break it up into 3 different tests. That way you're not running one big, long, super long test. It just kind of breaks things up, and I tend to like to do it that way. Now, you could probably load it up, but you got to realize that thing's going to run for 2 or 3 days. So you might as well just load it up and forget that it's even there for the next couple of days. But this is, in my mind, it's a quicker way to kind of methodically break it down and find those good overclock settings for your cards. And so then also too, the last thing I wanted to talk about was the dev fee. Now the dev fee is 18 minutes for every 24 hours of use, okay? And I got some kickback in some of the other mining communities about it and stuff like that. And I said, hey, listen, that's really not a lot, because you're not going to be using this software all the time. It's not like a miner that you're going to be mining on all day long. And it's not like this guy's charging you any upfront money to use the software. It's free to download. It comes with an 18-minute for every 24-hour, dev fee. And so with that being said, you can actually, if you really want to, you could get the dev fee out of the way if you wanted to at the beginning, and just set it to, the 18 minutes. If you know you're going to run it for a full day, you could set it up to mine the full 18 minutes, start the dev fee session, get that all out of the way, and then it'll start the session for you and evaluate. That way you don't have these dev fees interrupting your benchmarks, or, kind of messing with some of the data, or making you wonder, well, maybe the dev fee was kicked in during that round or something like that. That gets all the question and worry and wonder out of the way. So, but yeah, the dev fee, I think it's more than fair considering the value that he's giving. And he's, like I said, that's the only way that this guy is going to be able to make even a buck off the software. And I'm pretty sure that he's worked really, really hard to get it this far. And so I figured I could help him out, see if we can get some more people using this stuff, this amazing tool, and, just help him out, get him some more users so that he's more willing to, work on this project some more and get AMD cards going, maybe even get some of the RTX cards. It would be cool to benchmark some of the RTX cards on this software. If you want, look him up, PG Miner. You can go to his Discord. Please don't harass him or bother him with a bunch of questions. He's a nice guy. You can go in there and ask him questions. If you want, in the blog description too, I have my Discord link as well. You're more than welcome to come in there and ask us any questions you want. We'll gladly help and try, do our best to set it up. But yeah, that's it. So, you guys, I hope you enjoyed this episode. I hope you enjoy, testing out this new tool, and we'll see you on the next episode.